Hey Steelers Nation, welcome to the second installment of the schedule breakdown from the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. I am your host, Joe Rockey. In this episode, we are going to discuss weeks 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 because the bye week is in week 6. So we hope that you guys enjoy this episode. And what I've been asking people throughout, and I ask this again today, if you have a contact person at any of the players' charities or causes, please click this button right up here and let me know about them. So that way I can reach out to them and I get them to be a part of the program. Every person who has commented about this has said they would love to hear more about them and they just don't know about them, and I want to make that happen. So without further ado, week 5. Week 5. We all know what Ravens week is. It's what it's all about. At this point, I do honestly think that Odom and Lamar will still be healthy. But if we're getting towards the breaking points, and if you can break this team apart, how amazing would that feel? If you see the implosion of Odell Beckham Jr. and Lamar Jackson, this is going to be great. And I can tell you, I can't be more excited enough than for this. So to look at what the Ravens are going to be facing prior to coming into us. As I said already, they're going to be blowing out Houston in week 1. They have Cincinnati, Colts, and Cleveland before us. So with them having all 1 o'clock games, there's nothing going to be thrown off in terms of short weeks or anything like that. Coming off of Cleveland has potential of being a wear-down game. For some reason, Cleveland gives Baltimore fits in a way that doesn't make sense. And they tend to wear them out. Now, obviously, Ravens week is one of the biggest get-up games of the year for both teams. So I have no worries about that. And I also have no worries about them being on, worried mode. I realistically think that Baltimore's probably going to be 4-1 when they come and play us. 3-1. They'll be 3-1, sorry about that. And with the only loss being to the Bengals, because it's going to be hard to win in Cincinnati regardless of who you are. So they're going to come in happy, confident, but they also will really not have played a good defense. The Colts don't have good exterior pass rush, and they don't have good coverage. Cleveland, you could run on them all year last year, and people just ran on them so hard, we don't even know they were good at pass defense, because you could run on them all day, and if you can run on someone, just do it. Nike, baby. So when we look at the Ravens, we're now in October, and they haven't really been tested yet. We, granted, will be coming out of a cupcake. We'll be beating Houston. But we will have played the Niners, and we will have actually faced a physical team. It won't be something that's going to be a shock to us. That's a big early season advantage. So I do believe that we're going to win the one at home. I think we're sweeping the Ravens, to be honest with you. And the reason is this Ravens team, despite the fact they got Odell Beckham, is not explosive after Lamar Jackson. And the coach that is best of taking Lamar Jackson out of a football game is Mike Tomlin. Remember, Lamar Jackson has been a starter with 8 possible combinations where he could have played the Pittsburgh Steelers. He only dressed in 3 of them. And in those 3 games, he is 1-2, meaning the Steelers have a winning record on him, and he is getting average sacked of 5.5 times per game. The guy doesn't like playing us. It's a fact. And if TJ and Highsmith and company hit him early and often, we won't be seeing him at the end of the year. And it might not because of injuries. Remember, this is the same Lamar Jackson who last year was healthy enough to play in Week 17, Week 18, and the playoff game. Didn't play in any of them. As I mentioned earlier in the week, never a better time to have a bye than after Ravens week. I know there's going to be a lot of Steelers Nation going, dude, it's week 6. It's way too early. It's way too early. With the 2 Thursday night games sprinkled in there, it can be an argument that it's okay because we'll have those mini buys, if you will, after them. I do like having the bye week after the Ravens. It's such a big get-up game, hit-em hard game, and it's also a reason not to leave anything left on the table. Blow through them, hit them all out, take that bye week. That which rolls us into week 7. The week 7 is interesting because it's going to be right before the trade deadline. And the Rams are going to be in a situation where they're liquidating. I mean, they have made that very clear. They have really only 3 of their stars from their stars and scrubs roster left. They have Stafford, Kupp, and Donald. The rest of them have gone. So obviously this team is a 2-letter grade below us, and I don't really see it as an opportunity to make something fun and exciting. It's going to be one of these 4 o'clock games that the national people just bury and they don't really feel like talking about. I think this is going to be one of the few games all year we win by double digits because Tomlin doesn't normally win by double digits. He keeps it close. But we're not going to the Rams a lot. We're not going to see him again for another 4 years, and we certainly ain't going to see him in the playoffs before that. There's a lot of possibility. Start all your Steelers in that game and let it roll. Week 8, the Jacksonville Jaguars are coming to town, and one of the things about this game is that it's the game before the Jaguars bye, so everything I just said about the Ravens, don't hold anything back, go all out, really does apply here. Most people don't look at the team before a bye week, but there's a pretty big trend that you have a winning record, despite the fact we got slaughtered by Philadelphia last year, that the team is about to go on a bye has a winning record in that game. So it's something to keep on mind with the Jaguars. They're certainly one of the teams that we have to keep our eyes upon, because if they don't have a true step back, I think they will, but if they don't, they're going to be one of the teams that we're fighting with in the playoffs. And looking at their schedule here, they could be in a situation where they're in kind of a do or die type moment, because they start the year off with a lot of division games with the Chiefs and the Bills sprinkled in. So depending upon how they fare in both of their matchups against the Colts, really will dictate what we know about this team. So if they split the Colts, which is totally possible, which is something they actually typically do, those two split a lot, going back for a very long time, and they lose at Buffalo and to the Chiefs, well, all of a sudden, this is now a 4-4 or a 4-3 or a 3-4 team coming in here, depending upon what they do against the Saints. So they're coming off of that Saints game, and I believe, like I said, they're going to be about middle of the road when we look at this realistically, and it's going to be a matchup where, it's going to be very telling of both teams. The Steelers are going to have just played some games that can go both ways. I mean, you play the Ravens, there's no guarantee on that, and yes, I think the Steelers are going to have an amazing record at this point. I think they're going to slaughter the Rams in Houston. But this Jaguars game is going to be a step up. The Steelers are coming off of their bye week in a cupcake. So health-wise, they should be in a really good shape. But they're going to have to get it back up. Like I said, potential playoff matchup. I don't worry about that with Tomlin. I think he's absolutely fantastic in getting the team ready to go. I think this is going to be one of the better home games of the year. And I think that it's one that, close-ish game. We're going to really know about Kenny at that point, about whether Kenny has stepped up into taking this step and saying, oh, he's going to be the real deal. Because one of the things is not a lot of great defenses on our schedule in the first 7 weeks. So if we're basically just getting by and Kenny's not excelling, that's a big red flag. And the Jaguars do have a real defense. The Jaguars have a ton of draft capital they've spent on their defense that were first picks overall. So we're going to be looking at this and saying, if Kenny wasn't elite, this is going to be one of these games that, even though the Steelers will have a better record, that, look out for, because you're going to need him in this one. You're not going to be able to just hand the ball off to Najee and Warren 30 times and just walk out of here like you will against Cleveland. This is going to be a Kenny's going to have to show up type moment. And of all the games so far, I think this will be the highest over in all the Steelers games to date. And I think that that's something that we'll need to look at, which means you're going to have to score. And we're going to see if the Steelers are able to do that. That's one of these intriguing matchups for the offense as we start to approach the middle of the season. Following the Jaguars games comes, I think, one of the worst beats of the Steelers season here whenever we're playing Houston on a short week. As I mentioned earlier on, I believe Jacksonville is either the 3rd or 4th most physical offense that we will be playing all year, depending on how you think they're more physical than Cleveland or not. So that gives me pause whenever we're bringing in the physicality, probably the most physical team in the entire AFC, in the Houston Texans, or correction, the Tennessee Titans coming in on a short week in week 9. Now, there are some advantages that we have coming in here, being that first off, we're at home. The Titans are coming off of 2 home games, both against very heavy running teams in the Ravens and the Falcons. And that Falcons game is going to be, Falcons head coach is the old Titans offensive coordinator who loves running the ball, a little bit of a grudge match there. And I expect a lot of running physicality against that Titans defense, and that they're going to be hit pretty hard as a result of that. That being said, I never like playing the Titans on a Thursday night football game. I don't like playing any super physical running team on it as a result. I think Cleveland last year should be an indication of why that you should respect it. Now, I do think that the Titans are going to return to being the best team in that division. I think that Tannehill is going to play a lot. And when it's all said and done, you're playing the Titans. It comes down to one simple fact. Did you stop Henry or not? And I really think that we're going to do it. The fact that we brought in Benton, I think this is going to be one of the games where he shines. This and the Ravens. You get those long arms, the fact that he's essentially unblockable, and it's just going to go the distance. I think that's something that is going to be absolutely incredible to take care of as we look at this team moving forward. So I think that looking at this overall, it's a bad beat getting the Tennessee Titans here on a Thursday night game. But when we look at it from Tennessee's lens, coming off of Baltimore, coming off Atlanta, it's not exactly a soft landing pad coming into us. So cumulatively, I love the fact it's at home. That's the tiebreaker for me. If Kenny just proved the test against the Jaguars the week before, we got a really fun Thursday night, y'all. We hope you guys enjoyed the second quadrant of the schedule here. As always, if you guys know someone, please click up here at Elite Business Conversations Contact Me page to let me know what is going on as far as the individuals that you know at one of the players' foundations or charities. I would absolutely love to speak with them and get them to be a part of our program during the early summer.